pair of slender, 2-meter-long white jade legs appeared. The woman trapped in the car trembled with fear. Only a few bullets remained in her gun, and when she looked around, all she saw was darkness. The monster lurking in the night could attack at any moment, and despair welled up inside her. Thinking back on the day, she bitterly regretted her choices. Her name was Juliet. After a cataclysm 10 years ago, the world had turned into a wasteland, and surviving humans were barely scraping by. Juliet, the main character, was lucky to join a survivor group, and her job was to scavenge for supplies. She had to be on guard against other survivors and watch out for biohumans. According to the organization's rules, if you encounter a biohuman, you must retreat immediately, as their brutality is unbearable for humans. It seemed Juliet was destined to return empty-handed that day. But as she was about to take a shortcut home, she spotted a broken-down RV, its exterior stained with blood, and the owner nearby, barely alive. She had clearly been attacked by a biohuman. The owner weakly warned Juliet the biohuman was locked inside the RV, but over a dozen cans of food remained untouched. Juliet was moved. These supplies were valuable in the apocalypse and worth the risk. Taking a deep breath, Juliet unlocked the RV door, and the sounds of a fierce struggle erupted inside. Soon, Juliet killed the biohuman, but the owner had already bled out and died. The dozen cans of food became her spoils. By now, the sun had set, and Juliet had to get back to camp before dark. Maybe because she was in a good mood, she glanced a few more times at the family photo on the RV window. Suddenly, the photo was blown away by the wind, and Juliet jerked the steering wheel, causing the car to flip and roll off the road. When she woke from unconsciousness, her right foot was stuck under the steering wheel, and everything was pitch black except for the faint glow from the headlights. Juliet hadn't expected to be out so long. Spending the night in the wilderness during the apocalypse was extremely dangerous. She tried to call for help from camp, but no matter how many times she pressed it, the walkie-talkie didn't respond. She knew she couldn't just stay put. Juliet looked around and saw her pistol had fallen nearby. She grabbed a metal hook and tried to use it to pull the gun back, but just as she was about to get it, the wire slipped off at the crucial moment. Seeing that this way wouldn't work, she took a deep breath, cleared her mind, and forced her injured leg off the steering wheel. The searing pain shot through her, but Juliet didn't dare scream out loud. In a hurry, she took off her jacket, poured strong liquor over the wound to disinfect it, and the excruciating pain nearly made her pass out. Still, she gritted her teeth, pressed down hard with both hands, and finally managed to set the broken bone back in place. Fortunately, the terrible pain paid off in the end, and Juliet was able to move her body again. She found a new battery. After getting the walkie-talkie ready, she hurriedly tried to contact the camp, but there was no response from the other side. Just then, a chilling roar came from outside the car, and Juliet turned to look. Clearly, a cyborg was approaching. She immediately grabbed the pistol from outside, and in the next moment, a monster drew near. Juliet shrank inside the car, not daring to make a sound, gripping the pistol tightly with both hands. Luckily, the monster didn't notice her. Just then, the walkie-talkie went off, startling Juliet. She felt it was a hot potato and quickly threw it out of the car. She managed to divert the monster's attention, but missed a chance to call for help. As the monster moved away, Juliet sighed in relief, but with only a few bullets left in her gun, she still didn't let her guard down. She opened the glove compartment and, besides a flashlight, found some glow sticks. An idea struck Juliet, and she quickly tossed a few outside. Soon, she found the walkie-talkie the monster had thrown away, her only lifeline. But as she picked it up, a strange noise sounded behind her. She grabbed a flare, trying to find the source, but to her surprise, the monster was crouched under the car. Juliet fired a shot and scrambled back into the driver's seat. At least here, she didn't have to worry about being attacked from both sides. But an arm suddenly tore through the netting. Juliet quickly pulled herself back into the car, but the creature grabbed her calf. Panicking, she started the car and hit the gas. The monster screamed, forced back by the spinning tires, and Juliet escaped danger. She looked out to check outside, but the monster crawled in from the back. Juliet fired repeatedly, finally driving it away. After waiting a long time without hearing more movement, she reassembled the walkie-talkie and got in touch with her teammates. But Juliet didn't know her coordinates. Her teammate told her to turn on the car's positioning device. Since the walkie-talkie signal kept cutting out, Juliet hung up and grabbed the locator. Following the instructions, she activated the positioning system. Juliet felt more at ease, knowing all she had to do was wait for rescue. She had just finished blocking the window with a steel plate. The monster pressed its face against her, and realizing it was about to break through, Juliet braced the steel plate with her foot as hard as she could. She didn't know how long the standoff lasted, but the monster finally wailed and ran off in pain. Still, Juliet didn't lower her guard. She knew the monster was nearby. Footsteps echoed now and then. Juliet raised her gun, alert. Suddenly, the car shook violently. The monster was trying to find another way in. Juliet's nerves were stretched to the breaking point. She even thought about giving up. Then, her teammate's voice came through the walkie-talkie, like grabbing a lifeline. Hearing they had her location and were rushing over, Juliet finally let out a long sigh of relief. Soon, her teammates also noticed the commotion and realized a monster was lurking nearby. Her teammate reminded Juliet to use a strong light, one of the few weaknesses of the bioweapon. Juliet followed the advice and quickly turned on the car's high beams. The monster let out a miserable screech and soon vanished. Once things calmed down, Juliet asked her teammates when they could arrive, but they told her they wouldn't be coming to rescue her before dawn. According to the organization's rules, no one was allowed to approach the area where the bioweapon was active. Juliet couldn't help but curse out loud. This was just an excuse for their cowardice. Her teammate didn't explain and hung up, Juliet's heart instantly sank. There was no way she could make it until dawn in this situation. Suddenly, a car engine roared outside. Juliet pressed the horn, and soon, a three-wheeled vehicle pulled up. But instead of a savior, a thug came to take her life. Juliet fought back desperately with her hands and feet, and as the two sides struggled, that cyborg appeared, dragged the thug out, and stomped his head, killing him instantly. Julie stood in shock, realizing her safety was temporary. Once the cyborg finished the thug, it would come after her too. Thinking of her teammates abandoning her, Julie raised her gun. She would rather die than become food for that monster. Memories of happier times flooded her mind, and the story flashes back to a day before the catastrophe. At the art exhibition, Julie unexpectedly met a gentleman named Owen. The organizers had actually arranged this, hoping to give Owen a chance to date Julie. To her surprise, the exhibition ended early. The more they talked, the more they hit it off, and almost without thinking, Julie found herself at Owen's home. But just as things were about to get more intimate, Julie suddenly bolted from the room like a startled mouse, without warning. Owen was completely baffled, so he quietly followed her. Only then did he learn that Julie was also a woman living on the fringes of the poetry scene, her life filled with drugs and self-destruction. Julie knew she wasn't worthy of Owen at all, so she cut off any possibility of things going further between them. Unexpectedly, Owen didn't look down on her. Instead, he showed incredible patience and understanding. With his tenderness and kindness, he melted the walls Julie had built around her heart for so long, rekindling her hope for life.
Should just do these.
Unfortunately, the good times didn't last. Worldwide, mysterious biochemical attacks began, and Owen was hurt in one. When Julie saw him again, he was in a hospital bed, between life and death. Even so, she used all her strength to write a few lines on her drawing board. Julie was so choked with emotion she couldn't speak, only nodding. Because of this promise, Juliet survived in the apocalypse. Thinking of this, she put down her pistol. Even if only for her deceased boyfriend, Juliet was determined to fight with all she had. She took out a flare, grabbed gasoline, and climbed out of the car. After finding a spot, Julie poured out most of the gasoline, then lit the flare. Soon, the monster was drawn out by the firelight. Julie steadied her breathing and backed away. When the monster neared the gas can, she pulled the trigger. Flames shot up, but the monster dodged. It circled behind Julie and knocked her down with swift moves. As the monster closed in, Julie seized the chance and fired again. Gunshots rang out, and the monster fell in pain. Julie felt relief, her eyelids heavy. At dawn, Julie woke up and saw the cyborg was still alive. He instinctively raised his gun to shoot, but unfortunately, he was already out of bullets. Juliet was trembling all over with fear, thinking he was done for. But to his surprise, the monster didn't attack. Instead, it gently brushed his cheek. Julie was instantly struck as if by lightning. She realized that the creature in front of her wasn't a monster at all, but her beloved boyfriend, Owen. At that moment, Juliet finally understood everything. No wonder last night she kept trying to get into the car and never actually attacked. But when it came to the robbers who tried to hurt her, she showed a brutally fierce side. It turned out her boyfriend, Owen, had been protecting her all along. The two embraced at sunrise, feeling warmth they hadn't in years.